I found the tapes in the barn, hidden behind bales of hay, 12 VHS tapes, titles I couldn't even pronounce, images I'd never seen in my life. My husband watched pornography, hundreds of hours of it, during his Rumspringa, learned everything about sex through those tapes. Me, I learned by watching cows mate in the pasture. And when we got married, he expected me to do everything he saw on those screens. I was 21 years old, a virgin. I didn't even know what half the words he used meant, but he knew. Oh, he knew exactly what he wanted, and when I couldn't give it to him, when I didn't understand what he was asking for, he called me frigid, prudish, broken. Turns out I wasn't broken. I was just uninformed, and that difference nearly destroyed me. Let me take you back to the beginning, to how an Amish girl who'd never been kissed ended up married to a man educated by pornography. We met at a youth singing in the fall of 1996. I was 19, he was 21, Jacob Byler, tall, strong jaw, confident in a way most Amish boys weren't. He'd just come back from Rumspringa, 2 years working construction in Philadelphia, living with English roommates, experiencing the world. He'd come back ready to be baptized, ready to settle down, ready for a wife. I was the third daughter in a family of 7 children. My father farmed 300 acres outside Lancaster. Good land, good family, good reputation. Jacob's family were carpenters, respected. His father had built half the barns in our district. When Jacob started paying attention to me at singings, my parents were pleased. This was a good match, solid families joining together. We courted for 6 months, always chaperoned, always proper, conversations about farming, family, faith, holding hands once or twice when my younger sister wasn't looking. He seemed mature, worldly in a way that felt exciting but not dangerous. He'd been out there, seen things, chosen to come back. That felt significant, like he'd chosen this life, chosen me. We were married in October 1997. I wore the traditional blue dress my mother had sewn. We had the 4-hour service, 300 guests, roasted chicken and mashed potatoes, and my grandmother's chouflée pie. Everything was perfect until that night. We stayed in a small addition room attached to his parents' house, temporary, until we could build our own place in the spring. I was terrified. My mother had pulled me aside the morning of the wedding, told me in vague terms that I needed to let him do what he needed to do, that it would hurt the first time, but that was normal, that it was my duty as a wife. That was the extent of my sexual education. I knew animals mated. I'd seen it countless times on the farm, bulls mounting cows, roosters with hens. I understood the basic mechanics, but I didn't understand anything else. That night, in the darkness of that room, I learned that my husband had a very different education than I did. He knew exactly what he wanted, had specific expectations, used words I'd never heard before, wanted me to do things I didn't know were possible. I was confused, scared. The pain was worse than my mother had described, and through it all, his frustration was palpable. "You don't know anything?" he said at one point. Not a question, an accusation. I didn't. I truly didn't. Afterward, while he slept, I cried silently in the darkness. My body hurt. My dignity hurt worse. I'd failed. On my wedding night, failed at something I didn't even understand. The pattern continued over the next few months. He had expectations. I didn't meet them. He grew frustrated. I grew ashamed. He'd ask for specific positions I didn't know existed, describe acts I found disturbing, compare me to English girls who knew how to please a man. Where did he learn these things? How did he know what to ask for, what to expect? I assumed all men just knew, the same way they knew how to build barns or plow fields, some kind of instinct. It never occurred to me that he'd been taught, educated, by screens and videos and images I couldn't imagine. Before I go further, let me ask you something. Have you ever been in a situation where someone expected you to know something you were never taught? Where you were blamed for not having information you were never given access to? Leave it in the comments below. And if you're not subscribed to this channel, do it now. YouTube doesn't want content like this getting out. Real stories about closed communities. Hit that subscribe button. By the spring of 1998, I was pregnant with our first child. Jacob seemed pleased. A baby meant I was fulfilling at least one wifely duty correctly, even if I was failing at the other one. But pregnancy didn't stop his demands. If anything, they increased. "You're not working in the fields right now," he said one evening. "You should have more energy for me." I was 6 months pregnant, exhausted, swollen, uncomfortable. But duty was duty. One afternoon in May, heavily pregnant and moving slowly, I went to the barn to look for a tool Jacob needed, a specific type of wrench he'd asked for. I checked the usual places, the workbench, the tool chest, nothing. Then I remembered, sometimes he stored things behind the hay bales in the far corner, extra lumber, old equipment. I moved a few bales aside, not easy with my belly, and that's when I saw the box, cardboard, unmarked, shoved deep into the space between bales and wall. Curious, I pulled it out, opened it. VHS tapes, 12 of them, cases with explicit images, titles that made my face burn, pornography. My husband had hidden pornography in our barn. I stood there, holding one of the tapes, staring at the image on the cover. A woman in a position I recognized, a position Jacob had asked me to try just last week, a position I'd refused because it seemed degrading. And suddenly, pieces clicked into place. This was where he'd learned. This was his education. All the specific requests, the detailed expectations, the frustration when I didn't understand. It wasn't instinct, it was curriculum. He'd spent 2 years watching this, learning this, thinking this was what sex was supposed to be, and then he'd married me. A girl who'd never even kissed anyone, who didn't know anatomy beyond "that's where babies come from," who'd been taught that her body existed to serve her husband and produce children. I put the tapes back, pushed the box deep into its hiding place, replaced the hay bales, and I didn't know what to do with what I'd discovered. Part of me wanted to confront him immediately, demand answers, ask why he thought I should do what women in pornography did. But another part of me was afraid, because if I admitted I'd found the tapes, I'd have to admit I'd been snooping, going through his things. That was disrespectful. Wives didn't question husbands. I carried the secret for 3 weeks, watched him differently, noticed things I hadn't before. The way he looked at me during intimacy, like he was disappointed, like I wasn't measuring up to something. I knew now what that something was. The specific language he used, phrases that must have come from those videos, words no Amish person would naturally know. The comparison to English girls. He would know. He'd been with them during Rumspringa, learned from them, from the videos, from the culture we weren't part of. And I was supposed to compete with that. A sheltered Amish girl, raised to be modest, taught that my body was shameful, that sex was duty, not pleasure. How was I supposed to compete with women who were paid to perform, who knew every trick, who existed only on screens, perfect and tireless? I couldn't, and the unfairness of it consumed me. One evening in June, I couldn't hold it anymore. We'd just finished another awkward, painful encounter. He was lying beside me in the darkness. I could hear disappointment in his breathing. "I found the tapes," I said quietly. Silence, long and heavy. "What tapes?" His voice was careful. "In the barn, behind the hay, the VHS tapes." More silence. "You were going through my things?" Notice that. Not denial, not apology, accusation. I was the one in the wrong. I was looking for the wrench you asked for, and you decided to snoop. I wasn't. "Jacob, you have pornography hidden in our barn." "So?" The casualness of it stunned me. So, like it was nothing, normal. "The church condemns that," I said. "It's worldliness, sin." The church condemns a lot of things men do during Rumspringa, but they come back, get baptized. It's forgiven. But you still have them. You didn't leave that behind. I might need them. For reference. Reference, like they were instruction manuals, educational materials. Is that where you learned? I couldn't finish the sentence. Learned what? All the things you want me to do. The things you ask for. He was quiet for a moment. Then, "English women know how to please men. Amish women are raised to be ignorant. Those videos showed me what marriage should be like, not what partnership should be, not what love should be, what performance should be. I'm not an English woman, I said. I'm your wife. You're supposed to satisfy me. That's your duty. By doing what women in pornography do, why not? They're just showing what women can do, what women should do. I felt sick. This was his model, his expectation, his education, and I had nothing to counter it with. No education of my own, no framework for understanding sex except duty and submission. Other men do the same, he added. You think I'm the only one? Half the men in this district watched videos during Rumspringa, experienced things. We come back knowing what we want. And the women? What about them? Do they get to experience things? Learn things, know what they want? His laugh was bitter. Women aren't supposed to want anything. They're supposed to provide what men need. That conversation ended with silence. No resolution. Just the truth laid bare between us. My husband had been educated by pornography, expected me to perform accordingly, and saw nothing wrong with this arrangement. But the discovery of the tapes wasn't the end. It was just the beginning of understanding how much I'd been betrayed. A few weeks after that conversation, I noticed something wrong. Painful lesions, burning sensation, symptoms I didn't recognize. I went to the community midwife, older woman, had delivered half the babies in the district. She examined me, face grave, sent me to an English doctor, discreetly, didn't explain why. The doctor was a woman, middle-aged, kind eyes that didn't judge. She examined me, asked questions, took samples. You have genital herpes, she said gently. I didn't know what that meant. She explained, viral infection, sexually transmitted, no cure. I'd have it for life. But I've only been with my husband, I said. Then he transmitted it to you. Has he mentioned any similar symptoms? He hadn't, but then men often don't show symptoms, carry it silently, pass it to their wives. Where would he have gotten it? I asked, though I already knew. Sexual contact with someone else, possibly before your marriage. Rumspringa, the English girls he'd compared me to, the experiences he'd had, the education he'd received. He'd brought me more than just unrealistic expectations. He'd brought me disease. Is the baby at risk? My hands went to my swollen belly. We'll manage it. Cesarean delivery will prevent transmission. But you need to tell me, does your husband know he has this? Did he? Or had he infected me without knowing, without caring to find out? I went home, waited for him to return from work. When he came in, I was direct. I went to the doctor. I have herpes. Did you know? His face told me everything. He knew. It's not a big deal, he said. Lots of people have it. You gave me a disease, without telling me, without warning me. I didn't know for sure I still had it. I thought maybe it went away. Herpes doesn't go away. But he either didn't know that or didn't care to find out. How long have you known? He shrugged. A girl I was with during Rumspringa told me, said I should get tested. I didn't bother, because it wasn't his body carrying it, wasn't his pregnancy at risk, wasn't his life permanently changed. You should have told me, I said, before we married. I had a right to know. Would you have still married me? Honest answer. Probably yes. I wouldn't have had a choice. Our families had agreed. The church had blessed it. Backing out would have brought shame, but I should have had the information. The choice, even if it was an illusion. You had all the information, I said quietly. You knew about sex, about diseases, about expectations. You had 2 years to learn, to experience, to make informed choices. And I had nothing. No education, no information, no choice. Just duty. He didn't see the problem. To him, this was normal. Men explored, women waited, men knew, women obeyed. The double standard was so ingrained he couldn't even recognize it. I went to the bishop the next week. My pregnancy was obvious now, 8 months along. I moved slowly, deliberately. I told him about the pornography, about the expectations, about the disease. He listened, face impassive, hands folded. When I finished, he said, Men have needs that women don't understand. Your husband experienced the English world and came back. That shows strong character. He brought pornography back with him, which he'll dispose of now that you've found it, correct? He looked at me pointedly. Was that my job? To make sure my husband obeyed church teaching? He gave me a disease. Illness is sometimes God's way of testing us, teaching us humility. Testing me? Teaching me? What about teaching him? About consequences? About honesty? But I knew better than to say that. The bishop had spoken. The matter was settled. I tried talking to older women, married women who might understand. One, my mother's age, pulled me aside after church. Men do things during Rumspringa we don't talk about. It's their time to explore, but they come back. They choose us. That's what matters. But they bring back expectations, ideas from the English world. She looked at me with something like pity. That's marriage, child. They want things. We provide them. That's how it's always been. Even if what they want comes from sinful sources, where it comes from doesn't matter, only that you fulfill your duty. Another woman closer to my age admitted quietly that her husband also had specific demands, unusual requests, things she didn't understand. I just do what he asks, she said. It's easier than arguing, and it keeps him satisfied. Does it bother you that he knows these things, wants these things? She shrugged. How would I know what's normal? I have nothing to compare it to. He's my only experience. So whatever he wants must be what marriage is. That's what they'd done to us. Kept us so ignorant that we couldn't even recognize when we were being mistreated. Had no framework for understanding that our experiences weren't universal, weren't right. My son was born in August 1998. Hospital delivery, cesarean to prevent herpes transmission. The baby was healthy, perfect, uninfected. That was the only victory I had in this entire story. I'm still married to Jacob, 27 years now. We have 4 children, all delivered by cesarean, all healthy. Our intimate life is functional. I learned to do what he wants, not because I wanted to, but because resistance was exhausting, futile. He still watches pornography, not VHS anymore. He has a smartphone now, hides it better. The bishop knows. Most of the leadership knows. They don't care as long as it's private, as long as wives don't complain publicly. And most wives don't, because what would be the point? But here's what I want you to understand, what I need you to know. This isn't just about my marriage. This is about a system that sends boys into the world for Rumspringa, lets them explore, experience, learn from pornography, from English girls, from strip clubs and bars and everything our church officially condemns, then brings them back, baptizes them, gives them a fresh start, and marries them to girls who know nothing. Girls kept deliberately ignorant, girls whose only sexual education is submit to your husband. The boys come back educated by porn, the girls come to marriage educated by nothing, and everyone acts like this is normal, fair. God's design, it's not, it's cruelty, systematic, generational, ongoing. Right now, somewhere in Lancaster County, a 19-year-old Amish girl is getting married. Her husband just came back from Rumspringa, where he spent 2 years consuming pornography on his smartphone. Pornography that's more extreme, more accessible, more graphic than anything my husband had access to. She doesn't know what's coming, doesn't know what he'll expect, doesn't have the language to express discomfort or the framework to recognize abuse. And when she struggles, when she can't meet his expectations, she'll blame herself, think she's broken, frigid, failing, just like I did. The system protects men, allows them freedom, experience, education, then punishes women for not matching what men learned in that freedom. And the worst part, everyone acts like this is righteous, like this is how God designed marriage, like women being ignorant and men being experienced is the natural order. It's not natural. It's constructed, intentional, designed to keep women powerless. So let me ask you this. Did you know this was happening? Did you know Amish men consume pornography during Rumspringa and then expect their virgin wives to perform what they saw? Did you know the double standard was this extreme, this damaging? Comment below. Share this video if you think someone needs to know. And subscribe to this channel because I have hundreds more stories, real stories, stories the community doesn't want told. These women deserve to have their experiences heard, their truths acknowledged, their pain validated. Thank you for listening. See you later. Bye.